Now, looks like we got a goblin on top of my. Well, I'm hoping that this is a another whale that we're just picking up. Game keeps pausing. So what's next for you, Gunner? I know you can give away any other things that you might be working on command live wise, but are you going to go back to Northern Fury? You going to go back to the Indian Ocean?
Well, there is another command in the works, but that's about all I can say on that. There's I've got to go back to Iceland to clean those ones up. I've left a gap of about 5 scenarios I haven't done. So I'll clean those up, and then it's going to be North Norway. I've got a few really interesting scenarios planned for North Norway. Some of them are built, some of them are half built, some of them are a mess.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I've got seems like my list of half completed scenarios just grows more than it actually finishes itself off.
Yeah, I'm quite tempted to go to the Pacific and just get 1 or 2 scenarios done in the Pacific as well. But I have a feeling that that's going to be just too much of a distraction for me.
Yeah, I was when I finally got command back up and running the other day, I was sitting there kind of thinking, I'm like, all right, what do I want to do? Do I want to finish off a scenario that I have completed? Do I want to take up something that I may have started kind of brainstorming ideas for or what? And I chose to start yet another scenario that I had actually done some brainstorming for, but that was about it. And it's actually centered around I'm going helicopters.
Yep,
It's centered around a U.S. Army CAB or a Combat Aviation Brigade.
yep.
Um, there's a couple that the Army there's two different variants that the Army uses, so it's going to be kind of a an exercise scenario. Um, Still trying to decide between it'll either be set at Fort Irwin and using part of like the Nevada test ranges, or it'll be set in Texas
Hmm.
at Fort Bliss with the First Armored. I got a little bit more kind of research as to far, trying to give a kind of a different kind of variance of possible, kind of objectives for the scenario. I mean, you have a full cab, and that's a lot of resources that you can and can't do.
Actually, I think the most interesting cab right now is 12 cab in Europe. It's quite a unique order of battle.
From what I saw, it seems like it's in the process of rebuilding. Seems like a lot of their units had actually rotated home, and I think they've got maybe 2 battalions, I think, left.
That's all they've got. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
all they've got. One attack and one utility transport. The attack one has got, I think, 4 or 6 Chinooks in it, though, which I
that's
found odd.
that I find that really odd. I know
Well, it
that.
was
Sorry, go ahead.
so. Yeah, it was explained to me that it was all about moving FARPs.
Yeah. From what I've been reading, it looks like that we're rotating forces over there to kind of fill in kind of the blank slots, but it definitely is an understrength unit.
Yeah,
And I
and
had, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I think it's going to stay that way for a while.
Yeah, and in fact, if I recall, the army is actually reducing down to 10 cabs, I think it was, in the active army, and another, I think I want to say 8 to 12 in the reserve. So they're actually, and I think right now I think they have 12. So another 2 cabs are actually going to be disestablished at some point in the future under the current plan. Whether that actually happens or not is a whole nother story.
Right.
So we got
Yeah.
some
Oh,
merchant traffic.
yep. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that reduction, but
Yeah, it was actually kind of interesting. I was saying in my Discord chat, I was actually doing some reading on it, and I'm based right. I'm not based. I live right outside of Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington State, and home of the 16th cab.
hmm.
And as I was kind of doing some reading last night, and I'd actually planned on using the 16th cab in my scenario, and as I'm reading, I hear their Chinooks fly over my house on their way out to on the Yakima Training Center last night, and I'm like, oh, hi guys. I'm like, that there's some irony in this somewhere.
That's right. It's serendipity.
Well, let
Yeah,
me tell you, those things fly over, and you know they flew over.
yeah, you do. Pigs in space.
Yeah, it's like I don't. We've also McCord Field has the C-17 wing based at it, and I don't even hear them anymore. But those Chinooks fly over, and it's just like the whole house just shakes.
Yeah, 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 they are. They're big, and a lot of horsepower in those rotors.
Oh yeah, I'd actually speaking of I think it's 12th cab over in Europe. I'd actually thought about using them in a scenario set in the Baltics, which I'm generally not a fan of, but
Hmm.
I really couldn't find a way to really make it plausible, even if they were kind of reinforced. I just, not to go too much into politics, but I just think NATO's position over there is just really untenable.
Have you read much about Hong Kong 1941?
Um, Not really. It's
Yeah,
definitely been a while since I've last read on it, but yeah, it's you know
yeah. Tripwire to cause a problem, and that's about it. It's anyway. It's an interesting situation for sure. But the I think the idea behind 12 cab is they'd be reinforced by a German battalion and a British battalion as well.
yeah, that would make sense. Although I don't know what the Germans would have. Do they operate the Tiger?
I think they've got the Tiger now. Yeah,
Okay.
uh, and I think the Dutch are still operating the Apache as well, and the Dutch and the Germans sort of cooperate these days.
Yeah, if I think I saw something a couple months ago that that they're jointly operating one of the Dutch amphibs, or
Yeah,
or the Germans are deploying a battalion on the Dutch amphibs, something along those lines, I think is what I
uh,
saw.
yeah, German Marines on a Dutch ship. I think it was. They also co-command a divisional headquarters and co-command a corps headquarters.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
quite a bit of cooperation there.
yeah.
All right, so our SSGN is still on its way to pick up its UAV. Dallas is approaching the coast. Probably going to want to slow it down here at some point. I don't want to get too going too fast here. Now, with the special ops forces kind of going on land, do I have to worry about any sort of infantry battalions hanging out on the islands?
No, you don't, but you do need to worry about what's flying over and what's floating around. So you've got to know what's. You don't want to be detected.
Okay,
Um,
so we're
there are defenses, but they're not anywhere near where you're going to be. And before you do that, you probably want your SSV ready for its mission.
all right. So it looks like it's ready to go. So we've got I didn't actually know you could actually rename these units on the Oh, I guess
Yeah,
you could rename um the boats. I was thinking actually renaming the seals. I think that's my one biggest downside I see right now with cargo is when they drop on, it just throws all the units on like any given landing ship just into one unit rather than the actual like DB units.
yeah. That's a bit of a problem with it. That's for sure. But just to follow up on your last point, in that boat menu, in the editor, you can right click. There's no buttons for it, but you can right click and you can rename. You can delete and yeah. So set time to be ready, rename and remove.
Okay.
And as opposed to in the air menu, there's no buttons along the bottom for that.
Well, that's good to know. So Dallas is going to kind of approach this first waypoint, and then it'll slow down to creep, come up to periscope depth. We'll take an ESM reading and see if we can if we're detecting anything up there. The Illinois is going to go ahead around with its patrol.
So now, I ashamedly, I haven't had this open for a few days here, probably a week or so.
Oh,
Um,
I'm disappointed in you, Gunner.
well,
It
like I
should.
said, I was in the UK last week, so
Well, that
um,
means an 8-hour flight that you can be, play testing.
sorry, no. um, let me just open it up on my machine here. The
Uh-oh. We have identified a Russian Delta IV stretch. This must be
Okay,
the Podomsky or Podomskoyev. I know I
yeah,
butchered it. I'm really sorry. This is an excellent intelligence which the NSA will be very pleased about. Well, that's good to know that they're going to be pleased. And oh, guess what? It's right in Dallas's path.
bugger.
So that, hmm, I'm kind of wondering if that got triggered, if that was actually there, if that just got triggered when we enter a zone.
No, it was there. Now every submarine in the game has got a random start, and the yeah, you're not meant to find him with the Dallas, but
Yeah,
it doesn't matter how you found him. You did find him, um, but the Dallas commander of the Dallas has now got some decisions to make. I think.
well, that's what I'm thinking. It's like, do I just kind of stay in his baffles back here and kind of follow him in and hope he doesn't turn, or do I try to go around him to my objective area, or do I just turn around and clear? Which I think that's going to be the safer bet. I think I
Yeah.
have the time to do it, so we're going to go on just a reciprocal heading. I'm actually going to turn the Illinois kind of in, to maybe kind of lure, scare him off a little bit, maybe. Hopefully he's
Hmm.
set to kind of an avoid track. And actually, I'm gonna kind of zigzag here as I um, fall back. And the reason for that is I want to kind of periodically kind of keep him on the Dallas's sonar. And we are gonna go to a creep. I don't want to be going out of here at too fast of a speed. And we'll go ahead and slow down the Illinois over here, come up to just over the layer. Yeah, that I was not expecting to see him there. That's puts a damper on my plans here. Yep, we're gonna just stay in the baffles here. Let's go and turn, see if we can. All right, so our side sonar isn't picking him up anymore. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Wow. Yeah, you've pulled the range out a bit. So now each of the three Russian special mission submarines has got a job,
That's
and
comforting.
in the briefing, I go into a little bit of detail of what you think they are doing. I can't recall actually what this guy's doing. I think he's doing site preparation. So they go from site to site, but they're not there alone.
All right, so site preparation. I actually I didn't get a chance to actually read the briefing because you came on about that time. So let's go ahead and pause here,
Okay,
and we'll go ahead and kind of go over what our objective is. So stage one is site reconnaissance. We believe that this is okay. So this is I believe they're what these SSBNs are up to. They're reconning sites.
that's right.
We believe that this stage is largely complete, even if it is ongoing, no relevant to our current ops. Site preparation. This entails a detailed site survey, selection of emplacement site, and sinking of anchoring apparatus into the seabed. It is fairly certain that the Russian stretch Delta IV class submarine will be operating north of Spitsbergen, conducting this op, which I believe is the the BS-64.
That's right.
That so I believe that is that sub,
That's the one you found, yeah,
and
and
that's
that's Spitsbergen uh, to the southeast of you there. I think it's southeast.
So let's go and bring up our. So that is so then site 3 is site emplacement. The actual sensor unit MK or MGK608M is put in place during this phase. The units that are self-contained, so the process involves deploying and anchoring them. The modified Oscar 2 submarine or Oscar 2 class submarine Belgorod is presumed to be conducting this operation along the Lomonosov Ridge between Makarov and Fram basins, reaching towards the poles. Stage 4 is site activation, final testing, configuration, and connection. This stage requires a deep diving submersible. It's thought that the Delta 3 stretch submarine Orenburg, with its Washaric mini sub, will be working along the Northwind escarpment. Can't talk today, I swear. I was like this all day. I was like this all day today at work. I just could not talk. Activating clusters that were in place last year, and then operations 4 sectors are now online. 2 have only just powered up a couple weeks ago and we've located the ATGU that is powering them. So I'm assuming that's a ATGU that's a is that a nuclear reactor?
Yeah, it's an undersea nuclear reactor. It's really only about the size of a small cube van, and it's got enough power to operate several of these sites apparently. So it's so when one of your subs has got a task of going and doing some research on that, and once the Dallas does his job by infecting the communications network, you'll have a window of opportunity where your I can't remember which sub it is, can go and disable some of these cluster lance sites.
I wonder if that's our SSGN over here with
Yeah,
its
that's the one.
drone. Okay, so Dallas is clearing the area, and then let's go and finish the briefing here. So our tasks are disrupt the operations of the shelf system and gather evidence of use in negotiations. Establish a continuous patrol. We've already discussed this a little bit. And positively identify the 3 Russian special mission submarines. Gather detailed intelligence on the ATGU. This is expected to take about 4 days. That's the Jimmy Carter. I'm assuming once that's after Dallas has completed its mission.
Mm-hmm.
And disrupt operations. So we've got the Dallas has a special forces operators aboard. Should be able to tap into any one of the Russian shelf autonomous transmission stations, upload disruptive software, otherwise known as a virus. They must be stealthily approach using underwater delivery. Approach, foot brake into the system, 2 hours on site. Okay, and they'll depart. Okay, well, and then once communications are down, SSGN 726 Ohio should deploy the Echo Voyager to one more if possible of the operating cluster land sites in order to destroy it. I expect it'll take about 2 hours for the Voyager's onboard equipment to cut through the anchor lines and damage enough systems as to make its sensor useless. So what exactly is the Echo Voyager? Is that
Yeah, the database I think has got a picture of it. It's essentially a small unmanned uh, submarine with claws and cameras and lights and that sort of thing.
um, see, I didn't actually see a picture of it when I loaded it in. I do have the
Okay.
database loaded, so
Uh,
I don't actually ever recall actually hearing about the Echo Voyager. Looks like it is a prototype though.
yeah. Anyway, it's just a boxy thing. It doesn't look like a military submarine at all, and it looks like you see, a dive vehicle.
Looks like
Uh,
that right there.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it does look like the SDV, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Wonder if they actually took the SDV and maybe modified it, or if that's where or if it's similar dimensions, so it could be use common attachment points.
No, I think it's a heck of a lot bigger than the SDV.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I think it is anyway.
All right, so it has been now about 3.5 hours since we've had contact with our friendly Delta 4 over here.
Mm-hmm. Now you probably want to maintain contact with him.
Yeah, I definitely do. Um, I just don't want to do it with Dallas.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna send Dallas kind of the wondering if I should just send Dallas off to a different site rather than trying to go through this one.
You got the time to do it.
And I think that's probably the better idea. So I am gonna send. So do I only have to infiltrate one of the sites, or do I have to infiltrate multiple sites?
Only one.
Okay, so we're gonna try and go for the second one, and we are gonna kind of take a little bit of a dog leg out to deeper water. So we'll go that, and we're gonna go ahead and go and slow the Illinois down here and see if we can. Has been a while since we've had a data contact there. Mm, not seeing anything yet. Definitely don't think I want to go active here.
No.
So she was at 98 feet, so she was at the same depth as we are now. All right, still getting some bogey pings, but I think these are just civilian aircraft flying around right now. Pretty sure that one of these is a Cessna or something.
Yeah.
So,
Greenpeace has got a couple of Cessnas out there. Um, but there are some Tu-142s floating around, and some CP-140s, and some P3s.
and drop down under the layer, still not picking anything up on this sub. I'm pretty sure that the Virginias have a towed array, don't they?
They do, but that water's pretty shallow for a total wreck.
That is true. All right, so the Delta 4 has actually dropped off our sites completely now. Well, that's not a comforting thought. So I presume since they're out here doing setting up basically what the equivalent of SOSUS, that they're probably not armed with SSBNs.
Uh, no.
I would hope not anyway. All right, so how's the Mississippi is kind of skirting on the edge of her patrol zone. Okay, so these are inactive clusters over here.
uh, yep, those ones with the rings are the two active sets, and the inactive clusters are being activated by one of the other special mission submarines.
Okay, so we do know where the. Uh-oh, we did detect a couple of we got a couple of bear Fs. That is not a comforting thought. Because I'm betting that they are probably armed with sonobuoys. And this coastal land, they probably are carrying torpedoes.
Well, why would they be doing that?
Well, because I'm about to start messing around with their brand new toy out here in the Arctic. Okay, so we have established contact with the Delta 4. In fact, our sub has actually gone right by it. And actually, it's sped up without me really knowing. So we want to circle around, kind of definitely stay in his baffles. Hopefully, he did not see us. I really don't want to have to kind of hoping I don't have. I wish now that I think about it, I really wish there was a follow command. So I could just say, hey, stick, 100 yards behind target X. All right, so he's actually not moving at all right now. So we want to come to a stop. Um, let's go and creep a little closer. All right, so we have detected him. So he's probably still out. He's still out here surveying sites. Now, for the site survey, is I'm assuming it's just kind of a patrol mission without really any real objectives, since I'm assuming that you're not implanting new sites during this scenario.
Yeah, that's correct. It's it's virtual really. He's got to do um, several things for a number of hours. I can't remember the number of hours he's got to be at each site. Um, but the sites that he's working on will probably be built over the next 3-4 years.
Now, you know, kind of going back to I guess the beginning here is I mean, where did you start with research for this? I mean, I don't think I mean, granted I haven't really stayed as current as I probably should have on this system.
Yeah, there's let me just I'll pull something up and email it to you here. There's a guy who does a lot of special mission submarine type research. He's really one of the only sources. One second here.
Interesting that we detect this guy when we're moving, but when we stop, he disappears off our scope. No go, no.
That yeah, that must mean you are detecting him with your towed array then.
Um, and actually, I want to change. Um, I wish there was a WRA setting or something for like speed of like don't exceed X knots because I don't want this guy going back to 20 knots.
Uh,
Um,
yeah,
it's funny how I come up with like the random, hey, we should have, wish we had this at like the like random times. All right, so we're just gonna have him just kind of creep along at 2 knots.
I've just thrown a link into the chat there. It's H.I. Sutton, who's got a series of research papers on submarine capabilities.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. The difficulty is it's hard to corroborate. Um, it's circumstantial. It's a bit of a thin thread of research. Um, it's plausible and it's believable. But I generally don't follow conspiracy theories, and this has the smell of it. But it does make a good scenario.
Very true. You know, and the thing is that it's one of those things that, like you said, it is a very plausible, thing for them to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing, the what I mean, I can't recall this, but I actually don't know. I mean, was SOSUS was pretty much an open secret from its inception, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the science and the research behind it was so cutting edge, and it was so um, such a huge project. They couldn't keep it totally under wraps.
Yeah, so I would imagine something like this that, somewhere along the way, if I feel that like something like this would have leaked somewhere.
Yeah, and the speculation is rightfully. I've created a 7 or 8 year program to build one site. Is that real? I don't know. Those stages in construction, I've just made them up because who knows? They seem plausible, I think, but with a short construction season in the Arctic, because you're not going to be able to do it when the ice is moving very heavy. So you've got maybe 6-8 weeks every year. Stands to reason you're going to do it over a multi-year period.
Um, I'm kind of curious why. I mean, if this is all being done by special mission subs under the water, presumably they're, down towards the bottom. Why does it really does the ice go down that far? Well, I
Uh,
guess it's really shallow too. So if you get an iceberg that's, or a big thick piece of ice that's,
yeah, it can scrape pretty heavy, but the I believe they're putting these in at about 1,000 feet, so that's much deeper than the ice would go. Um, but uh, yeah, I don't know. Can they build them all year round? I don't know. Maybe they can. Um,
I just think it's fun speculation.
yeah, uh, who knows?
All right, so we haven't really had contact with this guy for about 3 hours now, and we're set to kind of circle him.
Okay.
Dallas is now kind of well back out to sea, just kind of approaching its dog leg to head back in towards Site 2. Hopefully we have better luck with this one than we just had with the last one. So we're gonna head to the Comsolet Island.
Yeah,
I know
Kumsalots.
Comsolats. My pronunciation is horrible.
Yeah. Well, you can be sure of one thing anyway, that the escort submarine is going to be closer to the Delta IV than it will be to where the Dallas is going.
That's true. I'm just kind of wondering if I'm going to run into something else. Who knows what other attack subs may be sprinkled through the area that might be in my path. Speaking
Well,
of
you know.
speaking of escort subs, I probably shouldn't be just like circling this guy's position right on top of him. We should probably give him a little bit of a wider berth. Well, last thing I want is for some Akula class to come in right on top of me.
Yeah. I think that's what they are. I can't remember exactly what they're. I think they're the Akulas.
Or the Sovereignminsk.
No, he's not escorting.
Oh, he's just patrolling around the area hunting for SSBNs, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, you know.
I can see that now. Hey, by the way, those two SSBNs that are just kind of patrolling at opposite ends, yeah, you got to go protect them now.
Well, would I have you do that?
Um, you strike me as kind of the sneaky sort.
Well, you know, sorry. Um,
I don't know if you saw my playthrough of KMC, but I kind of as the Russians I kind of might have declared war on the United States
yeah, I saw that one.
by mistaking some F-16s as MiGs.
But you missed though, didn't you?
No, I went and looked and I actually shot him down.
Oh, okay.
I pretty much blasted him out of the sky and really,
Yeah, no,
actually, that's actually on my list of things to get back to is to get back to play that one and play the U.S. side.
yeah, it's I really enjoyed the scenario because on one side of it showed how much of a paper tiger Korea was, or North Korea was, but on the other side it layered on the tension of the nuclear thing, and you got a short window to do it.
Yeah, I think the hardest part I found was just trying to find that dang missile launcher. I still
Yeah.
don't think I ever found it.
There's about 8 decoys out there.
Well, it doesn't help that I also got my recon assets blown out of the air. Um,
Oh.
my two recon aircraft with cameras kind of got blown out of the sky.
Yeah.
I thought coming in low at high speed would be enough to prevent AAA from getting it, and well, AAA got it. Where the
Yeah.
vaunted S300 battery pretty much, I think it had a couple kills, but that S300 really didn't hit anything.
Yeah, it's the it is a little bit like finding a needle in the haystack. The Americans have got a much better chance of finding it because the iStar resources are much better. And the other thing I discovered was with the Russians was the lack of precision penetrators. Um, the only one they've got is the was it the KV 1500s on the Su-24s.
And that's what I found, and mine just didn't seem to want to hit the broadside of a barn.
Right. Yeah.
Even for precision, it just they just kept seeming to miss and miss and miss. I think I used 3 or 4 to try. You know, it's been a couple months now, but I think I used 3 or 4 to try to take out a tunnel entrance,
Yeah.
kind of there close to the Chinese border, and all of them missed. And it was like, well, that was kind of a waste. And then you have just a bunch of like dumb bombs that don't have penetrators on it. It's like, well, what am I going to use this for? And then when I finally kind of launched my strike, you know, oh wait, there's American aircraft in the area. Well, this isn't good. They're killing my targets. I can't kill anything else.
Yeah.
So
The Russian and the American have slightly different target sets just for that reason. I had to offset them a little bit because the Russians just don't have it. I'm just noticing. I think it's the Jimmy Carter who's just come through the Barents Straits there
hmm
between Alaska and Kamchatka. He's moving on to very shallow shoal ground.
yeah, thanks for pointing that out. I was gonna, yeah, that no, yeah, 100 and let's see, what's the depth? 350, yeah, 100 and 150 feet. Ew. Yeah,
Yeah.
best we avoid that. 100 and well, less than 100 feet in a couple spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely best if we avoid that.